I can guarantee you that after watching this video, you will not be able to leave me alone in the comment section. Because in this video, I'll be giving my honest rating for every Assassin's Creed game released till now, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Starting with the worst game that I don't ever want to touch again in my entire life, it's Assassin's Creed Unity. But wait, before skipping the video, just hear me out. Imagine that your father has been killed right in front of you as a child. You witness his death. Then when you grow up, you completely forget about him. And not only you forgot about him, but you're constantly simping for your girlfriend turned stepsister.
Oh my god, stop bro, I'm stuck!
And instead of chasing your father's killer, which would have been a great storyline, you're always simping over your girlfriend turned stepsister. And not only that, when your adoptive father dies, you try to avenge his death instead of avenging your biological father's death. And this is Assassin's Creed Unity in a nutshell. Story-wise, it made no sense, plus the writing was weak, there were a lot of plot holes which Ubisoft didn't explain. So instead of making a brilliant storyline, they woke up one day and scrapped everything that they tried to build up in AC Rogue. Because there isn't a single side quest or a main mission where we see Arno mentioning his father or just curious about his death. No, there isn't. The entire game is just about the power of friendship between assassins and Templars and some villains that come in between. And not just story, I also have gripe with the gameplay. And I know I will get a lot of hate, but I must say it. The game's parkour looks good visually, but functionally, it's a total disaster. Let's be straight here. Honestly, tell me in the comment section, how many times have you entered the window in Assassin's Creed Unity on your first attempt? And if you guys did, then you need some serious mental checkup. People criticize the RPG games, I get that. There are a lot of stuff that they did wrong. But this game also had some RPG elements regarding levels. You had this diamond level up system where the gear that you used to unlock had certain tiers, and based on those tiers, you would have been able to kill certain enemies. I have no issue with grinding, but at least make progression systematic. Some side objectives in the main missions are locked behind story wall, and they force you to replay the missions again. In short, I don't like Unity and the progression system or the storyline. The animations were good, the cutscenes were great, but they messed it up. There's no denying that AC1 started the series which we all know and love now. If this game didn't exist, then I wouldn't be here in the first place. But this game was released 18 years ago, almost 2 decades ago. And by today's standards, the graphics still hold up, but gameplay doesn't. When I first played it, I loved it because the concept was fresh and new. I loved the feeling of climbing everywhere. But when I replayed it, it just didn't struck me the same way. I got the feeling that I used to get, but the story was non-structured. As soon as you kill your first target, you're free to go in each of the cities where Al-Mualim tells you to go after each and every assassination. And not only story, but progression also feels repetitive. Whenever you go to a certain city to kill a certain target, the main missions that you do to reach your target are more like side missions, because the objectives of those missions don't feel like a main mission. There are no cutscenes and you basically just do random errands here and there. Once all of those investigations have been completed, you go back to your bureau and ask for a feather. The assassin there gives you the feather and the assassination begins. After every assassination, you return back to the bureau, rest a bit, then go back to Al-Mualim. Not to mention the parkour, which was realistic, but it took centuries to climb a single structure. And when you're being chased by guards, then this becomes a headache. And I don't blame them because this was their first game. On the brighter side, this game's combat actually had some depth. It wasn't bland, it was mechanical. Where much of the games that came after AC2 had QTE based combat system, this combat system actually had lengthier fights which tested your stamina and durability. Plus the conversations with Al-Mualim were a chef's kiss. The philosophy of the creed and the meaning behind the words "nothing is true, everything is permitted" is very well explained in these conversations. So if I had to replay this game, then I will replay only for these things. Plus the feeling that you get when you kill a target and you get one piece of your equipment back. It's a plus point. But on a larger scale, I think this game needs a remake more than AC4 Black Flag. You might argue with me saying that why did I put Assassin's Creed Syndicate above AC1 and AC Unity? The answer is pretty simple, because this game was enjoyable than the latter. Even though both of them had their plus points, Assassin's Creed Syndicate was a refreshing experience which we never saw in the series. For the first time ever, we got dual protagonists, and surprisingly both of them were sister and brother. The city of London was vast and beautifully created, and accurately as well, but if they stick with the original idea of making this game a darker and grittier experience, then it would have been miles better. But instead we got a lighthearted game with forceful and cringiest jokes inserted here and there.
We will free London from Starrick. You have my word.
And my looks.
The historical figures, unlike AC1 and Unity, were added forcefully, because after every 2 or 3 memories you can stumble upon them like they're everyday civilians. No build up, no nothing. The story was pretty mid, it just focused on Jacob and Evie are both protagonists looking for the Shroud of Eden, and to free London from Templar's control. Your typical Assassin's Creed storyline. And they also gave you an option to skip to the last sequences, which made no sense whatsoever. Gameplay wise it was just AC Unity reskinned in London, but nerfed. Much of the parkour animations that were present in Unity were removed from the game, and the city itself was too wide and open that it didn't fit the parkour element or structure that the series is known for. But instead they used a grappling hook which was attached to our hidden blade, and we used it to traverse the city easily from one building to another. And as we know, this game takes place in the late 19th century, making it the most modern Assassin's Creed game that we ever had. Much of the things from the original formula were changed. We got guns with more bullets and less reload time, trains and carriages instead of horses, and gang wars. Unlike Unity, the game's collectibles and side objectives can be completed on your first run, and the collectibles themselves are pretty entertaining, so I loved that. And if I had to summarize it, it felt like a good fever dream. Assassin's Creed 3. By far the most overlooked AC game in the community. I still remember when this game was released officially, a lot of the people hated Connor in the game itself, because Connor was a replacement for Ezio and people were not buying that. But after playing this game myself, I can say that they were not wrong. And I'm not talking about Connor's personality or him replacing Ezio, but something else. The game is incredibly slow. In the first 3 sequences of the game, we play as Haytham, and we don't even know whether he's an assassin or a Templar. Then after his arc is finished, we jump to the modern day, do a lot of stuff there. Then finally after that, we take control of Connor, but he's a kid. We play as teenager Connor for 2 or 3 more sequences, and then finally in sequence 6 the story actually starts. The game takes 6 sequences or 6 chapters to build the characters, and in my opinion it's too much. The story after that becomes much interesting and the writing is phenomenal, but the weight takes the cake away. It also gave us a new perspective about the Assassins and Templars, and that their core objective is still the same, but their ideologies are way different. It features more than 4 maps that we can explore, hunting, side quests, and even building your community. But this is exactly why I put this game here, because it's too much. They try to fit in every piece of collectible and everything that it could add in one game, and it overwhelmed the players. And whenever I decide to replay this game, I just skip it by saying that I won't wait another 6 sequences for Connor to become an assassin. The game which introduced us to the massive and beautiful world of ancient Greece. And yes, I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And surprisingly enough, it's also the most hated game by the Assassin's Creed fans. But I don't hate it. Sure, it did a lot of things wrong, but it was also very crucial for the lore of Assassin's Creed. And for that reason, I praise it. If you're an AC lover or have been following all the past games, then you know how complex the narrative of the series is. So this game explains all the supernatural stuff that we see in AC in its own style. And because it was the first RPG in the series, it introduced a lot of new elements. The gear sets, abilities, a huge map, your own ship, and the ability to go everywhere. And above all, a fantastic soundtrack. But if we decide to exclude all of that, then based on story alone, the game isn't what you think. As I mentioned in my previous videos, the newer games have worst cutscenes. And the core element of story-based video games is the emotions portrayed by the characters. There's one scene in this game where Cassandra meets her brother Demos after a long time since their childhood. Keep in mind that she thought he was dead, but when she meets him, there's no emotional payoff. No sadness, no happiness, nothing. And this thing dragged the story into a downward spiral.
You're being an asshole. Oh!
You'll have to be stronger than that.
Bruh.
There are some cutscenes which are mo-capped, but the quantity is way less. Plus, I don't understand why did they give this game a mature rating, because there's no such thing as nudity in the game. The romance scenes are crap, but it's a great game if you're looking to pass your time or have nothing else to play. If you're looking for a game which can take you 400 hours to complete, then Assassin's Creed Valhalla has got you covered. And I'm not joking, this game is actually 400 hours long if you count all the grind and all the DLCs that this game has received. It follows the story of Eivor, Varen's daughter, which was previously known as Varen's son, but Ubisoft changed it for unknown reasons. And she is seeking glory above everything else, and this is why she migrates to England with her adoptive brother Sigurd. And England is huge. It has more than 10 regions, but all of them feel bland. Almost 80% of the NPCs that I encounter on my playthrough were the same, and not only NPCs, much of the locations and assets were recycled, which explains the game's massive size. The story didn't have any direction, it was scattered throughout England, and it was up to you to choose which missions you have to do first, either side ones or story ones. But if you do all of those missions and then complete the main storyline, you will feel rewarded. It's a hot take, but I do not think Valhalla is a bad game, and hear me out why. The game introduces us to the origins of the Templar Order, some amazing and well-written side quests. They're not grindy just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but they're actually short. I consider them world events because that's what the game calls them. The combat was fleshed out. We had hundreds of different weapons to try and combinations to mix and match. And you can also customize your character the way you like. And if you include the DLCs, then you not only have an increased number of maps, but also increased number of weapons, enemy types, and outfits. So it was a grand Assassin's Creed game which kept on receiving post-launch updates even in its second year. So no matter how many people call it the worst game, I will not, because I actually loved it. The recent addition in the Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Although it's recent and I think I may be a bit biased, but the game actually performed better than what I expected. When this game was announced to be another RPG, I was confused that whether it will be another RPG like Assassin's Creed Odyssey or will retain some mechanics like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Origins. But luckily, it was a mixture. It was made by the same devs who made Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but this time they cooked. Yes, this game, as other games, have some things which could have been improved. Yes, it has flaws, but it gives a good experience. The combat and the gameplay is so fluid that I absolutely enjoy killing and slicing enemies into pieces, and both characters feel different. If we talk about Naoe, she's fast, she's agile, and she feels like an assassin. Yasuke is a brute, and surprisingly, there are actual situations where you will need to switch between characters, otherwise your progression will take a lot of time. And this thing was missing in Assassin's Creed Syndicate because both characters felt the same. The map is huge, but it has different seasons, so you will not feel like you're traveling in the same location for hours. Collectibles and question marks have been greatly reduced, so the game will feel more peaceful. Story, as is the custom in the RPG games, is scattered, but it's totally up to the players on how you want to approach it. And the best option I think the developers gave us was the canon mode. By turning it on, the game will automatically pick the best choice for you, which now it did canonically. So this gives the characters a bit of a personality. It's a solid game for Assassin's Creed lovers because it actually has assassins and Templars, not hidden ones or the Order of the Ancients. You should definitely give it a go. A promised return to the roots for the AC series. I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Mirage. A much shorter experience than the usual Assassin's Creed games that we got, but it had its plus points for which I had to put this game at this spot. Its parkour wasn't good, it felt like Assassin's Creed Valhalla's parkour but sped up, and during some sections Basim felt slower, but a city structure optimized that. Stealth was heavily improved as compared to Valhalla where it was non-existent. You can clear enemy camps in seconds without getting detected, and I think it's one of the few Assassin's Creed games where I actually enjoyed stealth. Because in the RPG games, even though some of the games had stealth, I did not prefer it. The game's combat is a minus point, but it's expected because this game was heavily focused on stealth and being an assassin. It tries to mimic the classic Assassin's Creed combat, but fails in doing that, and it shows. But I think story was a side focus on the game because much of their focus was on improving the gameplay, and the story felt like an excuse because there's no motivation for Basim to hunt the Order aside from his partner getting injured and he has to go to Baghdad to avenge him. But overall the game is great and I loved playing every second of it. I wish I would have put this game a bit higher, but unfortunately I think I cannot. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood isn't just Ezio's second act, but it's Ubisoft's gift for the Ezio fans. It takes place right after the events of Assassin's Creed 2, with only one city being Rome, and Rome is massive, with a lot of activities, renovation, and you now finally get the ability to train your assassins. It's good, but the game also introduces some challenges which I personally didn't like, and the challenges which I'm talking about are optional synchronization objectives. I know they're not much, but it feels annoying when you fail them, because the game's teasing for not playing the way they want you to. And about 80% of the time, the stealth didn't work for me. In the main missions, where I have to climb the castello without being detected, the enemy AI is so whacked up that you get detected nonetheless. So you have to play strategically to do that, and it sucks. Story-wise, it's impressive, every character has been fleshed out, and gameplay-wise, it isn't bad either. The combat has improved significantly, giving you the feel of a master assassin. You can kill 10 enemies in a row without getting hurt. But there's a lot of stuff that they added which became pretty much overwhelming for me, and the game felt more grindish than Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You have to send your assassins on a mission and have to actually wait 20 minutes in real time. And then when they come back, you have to send them again. It's a continuous cycle, slowing your progress altogether. And this is the reason why I'm putting this game at this spot. Moving to the top 5, we have Assassin's Creed Revelations. I loved it more than Brotherhood for a lot of reasons. First of all, soundtrack. AC Brotherhood was originally supposed to be an AC2 DLC, so that's why much of the soundtrack was recycled from Assassin's Creed 2. But this game featured amazing soundtracks which I still remember. Secondly, the vibe of Constantinople is unmatched. There are a lot of secrets, a lot of factions, a lot of side missions which you can complete. I know a lot of the features from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood are recycled in this game, but much of them have been improved. And most of the unnecessary things were removed from the game entirely. And in the end, we got a final goodbye to Ezio and Altair. The game combines the story of both Altair and Ezio and gives them a fitting end. There are some things that he does in the game which feel out of character, like using civilians as bait or being reckless and killing an innocent general. But they fleshed out Altair's character and that makes up for it. Nobody ever puts this game on a top spot, but I actually like Assassin's Creed Rogue more than 2 games of the Ezio trilogy. It tells you the story of Shay and how the assassins betrayed him and how he, being a Templar, was more responsible than the assassins. Much of the gameplay was similar to Black Flag, but it doesn't matter, the story was amazing. They try to connect this game with Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed Unity, but unfortunately, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Ubisoft did not acknowledge it. They pretend like this game doesn't exist, and much of the connections that they tried to make never came to be. It tells the story before the events of Assassin's Creed 3 and before the events of Assassin's Creed Unity in the epilogue. A very interesting game and a very interesting story, but is mostly slept on because nobody even played it. So if you haven't, then I highly recommend you to give it a go. It's amazing, and you will definitely love it. Coming to the top 3, I guess Assassin's Creed Origins takes the 3rd spot. Out of all the RPG games, I consider it one of the best written and best executed games. It doesn't take the formula too far or doesn't stray away from it as well. It strikes a healthy balance. You follow the story of Bayek of Siwa, the last Medjay of Egypt. Some unfortunate events happen to him and he loses his son. Now, he's hunting the people responsible for it. The game features the entirety of Egypt with every location accessible for you. Each city has its own order member, so you have to complete quests to eliminate him. The side quests are pretty fun. You can fight wandering warriors, fight elephants, and clear out camps without getting detected. Combat is not its strong point because it's pretty basic, because it's hitbox. The enemy will not die until you hit him 20 or 200 times. But it makes sense because it was a transition from the usual style towards the RPG style. But honestly, much of the games follow the same formula, so it is indifferent. The strong point of the game is its story. It's completely fleshed out and it makes me wonder why didn't Ubisoft give this man another sequel. He deserves one. It ties into the big and expanding universe of Assassin's Creed perfectly, and you will feel connected to Bayek as you were with him, thanks to his voice actor and impeccable writing. But despite all these positives, there are a few negatives. The game is cluttered with question marks. You can find infinite amount of locations which you have to complete in order to complete the game 100%. And the story also has some sections where you play as Bayek's wife, and those missions are not good in my opinion. Other than that, it's perfect. You might have guessed it already, Assassin's Creed 4 comes at number 2 spot. And I bet for most of you guys, it's the game which introduced you to Assassin's Creed. It was a breath of fresh air from the usual Assassin's Creed formula that we see. The Assassin-Templar conflict was there, but it wasn't glorified. You can feel their presence, but they're not always there. Many people ignore the fact that just like the newer games, our main character is not an assassin until the very end of the game, but they do not complain. Why? Because the storyline itself is so amazing that you forget the fact that you're playing an Assassin's Creed game. Everything about this game is perfect. The story, the character, the animations, the gameplay, everything has been done to perfection. And no matter how many times I play this game, I will not get bored. The structure of the story is straightforward, there are no distracting side missions, and the open world is massive for you to explore. But the only downside of the game was its modern day because it had no depth or no storyline at all. And all of this was the reason why it's getting a remake. Only time will tell how the remake will be, but as of now, the original Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is amazing and still holds up. On number 1 spot, you have guessed it already, it's Assassin's Creed 2. Despite it being released in 2009, it overshadows almost every modern-day Assassin's Creed video game. It improved upon everything which Assassin's Creed 1 lacked, including fast parkour, a captivating storyline, a lovable character, and mesmerizing soundtrack. Every piece of soundtrack from this game is iconic and has hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube. And many people still play this game and compare it with the original ones. Even games like Assassin's Creed Mirage took inspiration from Assassin's Creed 2. The story is simple, yet it has been expanded into 14 sequences, and I think it deserved that. Some sequences might feel rushed or unnecessary, but when you look at it from a broader perspective, you won't notice the details. Combat isn't too hard or too easy, it's in a balance. The stealth of the game isn't much, but once you learn to do it, you will do it pretty easily. There are no full synchronization objectives, which makes the game your own. You can complete it however you like. Collectibles are not added randomly because they are canon to the main storyline. All the 30 codex pages and the 6 assassin seals are present in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood's start, which meant that everything that you do in AC2 is considered canon in AC Brotherhood, and it's one of the best things about it. It also keeps the modern day storyline at bay. It doesn't exceed the amount in which we leave the Animus, and it also doesn't forget it. So based on all of these factors, I decided to rank Assassin's Creed 2 the best AC game that I ever played.